One of the most important aspects of any smartphone is its screen, and this year the display of the iPhone 13 Pro Max is its biggest upgrade, and it's fixed what was the biggest disappointment with last year's iPhone 12 family. Watch on to know more. My name is Ashish, and last year I reported that the iPhone 12 family's displays were too warm for most people's likings, and it made the screens appear decidedly yellow. So much so that people were left harkening back to their old iPhones like the LCD based 11s and older 10s models. Thankfully, I'm happy to report that the new iPhone 13 Pro Max has none of that yellow hue on its screen. It's gone. It's a thing of the past, and now the phone screen looks just as it should, and the easiest way to show you the difference is by looking at web pages or blank screens with a white background. Now, it may or may not translate so well on camera, but in person it is clear that this year's color science for the iPhone 13 family screens, well, at least the iPhone 13 Pro Max that I have been testing, is veering towards cooler hues. This is a very welcome change, and even though Apple kept insisting last year that the iPhone 12 family screens reproduced true-to-life colors and were amongst the most accurate displays on the market, to the untrained eye, or more accurately, to the average user's eyes, these screens looked like they had a serious case of jaundice and really needed cooler hues. I was sure that the next-gen iPhones would fix this problem, especially in light of such great protests by users the world over. And I'm not even addressing the issues with the green tint on certain iPhone 12 screens in this video. I'm squarely talking about the yellow hues on last year's iPhones. And those who've seen my original video on this topic, links in the description, will know that the Pro models from last year were the least affected by this issue. And even with these, you can tell how much of an improvement the iPhone 13 Pro Max is in this regard. So I can only imagine that this improvement will be even more noticeable on the regular 13 and mini. After all, the added brightness on the Pro models from last year actually helped offset some of that yellowness. So all that's well and good, but there is further good news. It's funny how you don't miss or crave for something until you have experienced it. The same goes for the 120Hz LTPO tech that these screens feature this year. Super Retina XDR Display with ProMotion. I mean, until 4 days ago, I was perfectly happy with the display on the iPhone 12 Pro Max. It was plenty bright, and having upgraded from the regular 12, I was now used to the warm color science of the display. But I cannot describe in words the difference in feel when using the iPhone 13 Pro Max over the 12 Pro Max just because of the doubled refresh rate. I mean, my first thoughts about the 13 Pro Max were that it is more of an iPhone 12s Pro Max. And that is true to quite an extent, but I would upgrade from last year's iPhone just for the refresh rate. At 6.7 inches, physically it's the same size as the 12 Pro Max, but the buttery smoothness of 120Hz is so obvious once you start using the iPhone 13 Pro Max that I don't even feel like looking at the 12 Pro Max, and that is a tall statement. But I'm not exaggerating. You immediately start noticing how choppy the animations are on the older display, having used the 13 Pro Max. And lastly, the extra brightness at 1000 nits instead of 800 for the 12 Pros is noticeable if you have them side by side and especially outdoors. But in this respect, even last year's Pro phones were great. So the cooler hues and the 120Hz refresh rate makes for a more obvious improvement to my eye. The display continues to feature ceramic shield, which helps mitigate damage in the event of a fall, and I haven't had a cracked screen in the past year despite some minor falls, so I would believe that this does help. Now obviously there are other upgrades and I will talk of those in another video, but for now just know that the screen this year is a serious upgrade and fixes the biggest issues with last year's phone whilst upgrading the user experience at the same time. For this one simple feature, it makes the iPhone 13 Pro Max well worth the upgrade from any iPhone of the past. If you were on the fence, well, the wait is over. Do not even wait for any other review covering any aspect of this phone. Buy it now and thank me later. Now thanks for bearing with me whilst I was being highly opinionated, but I believe that if a feature is well worth it, it needs to be communicated without any hesitation. And no affiliations or sponsorships for me from Apple. So watch this space as I give my full review of this phone soon, and Also, other tech products coming soon. Thanks for watching and please consider subscribing. I'll see you in the next one.